Welcome. You are listening to the Overseas Life Redesign podcast, where you'll hear fun, relaxed, and inspirational interviews with people who are really living the dream. I'm Dawn Fleming, an attorney turned alchemist, and your host for the show, coming to you from the tropical island paradise of Isla, Mujeres, Mexico. Listen to conversations with courageous souls who've stepped out of their comfort zone and designed a new way of life. They'll share their experiences, wisdom, and offer practical steps you can take to redesign your life overseas. Listen and you'll believe. If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
All right, I'm here this morning with Keesha Parker, and we're excited to do our Overseas Life Redesign podcast with her today. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me, Dawn.
I usually like to start with, well, how did this all come about? How did you decide to take the plunge and move overseas? Have you lived overseas before, or is this your first time?
No, I actually lived in the same city my entire life. I'd never lived more than 20 miles away from...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this is a really big move for you.
Yeah, this was a huge, huge move for me.
Would you like to share what prompted it?
I started traveling in 2004, and my motto was, you never go the same place twice. Never. There's too much out there in the world to see, and so every year, travel, and it was always somewhere different. Never consider going to the same place twice. And in 2013, I was finishing my master's degree in counseling, and I wanted to take a graduation celebration trip. So I'm looking online at different places, and something came up somewhere. This Isla Mujeres was mentioned, so I started researching it and booked the trip for there in January 2014, and that changed everything.
Wow. Okay, I know this is a life-changing place, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've heard that. So can you describe more in detail what happened?
Well, actually, that trip, the Norte was here, and so spent a lot of the time indoors just from the rain, and it was flooding, and...
So the weather wasn't that nice?
The weather wasn't great, but I was like, there's just something about this place that feels different. So booked another trip 9 months later. It's the first time I've ever traveled the same place.
To the same place?
Yeah. And I don't know. It just, everything changed, and I quit traveling to other places. It was just Isla. A couple years ago, I went to Belize for a week, and I felt screwed.
Really?
I felt so screwed. I'm on my phone, like, trying to figure out how to squeeze in a third vacation that year, because I had to get...
Oh, my. And I heard really good things about Belize, but it just wasn't working for you.
It was not working for me at all. So that's how Vacation Isla came about. I really believed that I was going to have to wait until retirement age to be able to ever make that happen.
Okay.
Every time I left, I cried on the ferry.
Oh, not the first time I've heard that either.
Yeah. It was just sobbing. And so the plan was, when I hit retirement age in 35 years, that's where I wanted to live. And I was so scared that it was going to be so different by then. We might have a Walmart.
We kind of do, but...
Yeah. And so it was about May of last year. I was sitting in my office, and I had a little bit of break between two clients, and so I'm on Facebook scrolling, and someone mentions this Facebook group for therapists. So I join it. It's for therapists that work 100% online. I'm like, what? So I spent a few months following that and just seeing how people were doing it. I took a course on just step-by-step, how do you
set up that type of a practice?
Yeah, how do you turn your entire counseling practice into being 100% online? So after that, I spent some time traveling to other places of Mexico, because when I make a decision, I want to be sure, 100% sure. So I traveled and nothing, I was ready to go. Everywhere I went, I was ready to go home when the trip was over. So last December, came for a little bit, tried to live more like a local, not the touristy areas. And
How long did you stay for?
It was 12 days.
Okay.
And tested the internet. That was the probably the biggest worry for me, was to make sure that the internet was going to hold up.
Right.
Because without that, there's no way I could stay. And it worked great. So, and I had to contact my licensing boards and make sure that it was okay. I had to get permission to work outside of the states I was licensed in.
Okay.
Both states said that it was fine that I worked from Mexico as long as, I kept my license current in those states, which is Arkansas and Texas.
So your client population comes from 2 states?
From 2 states.
Okay.
Arkansas and Texas.
Gotcha.
The reason I have a Texas license is because that was the plan, was to move to Texas to get out of Arkansas. And I was going to live there until it was time to retire and move to Isla.
Gotcha.
So when I figured out I could do it all online, I just skipped Texas but kept the license. And, yeah.
Bigger population also to draw from.
And they're more open to online work.
Okay. So before you moved down, did you transition to online practice before moving down here? So, or did that happen at the same time?
I started to expand. Arkansas is a little bit more difficult as far as working online. You have to go through separate licensing procedures and interviews and all of that. So once I got that done, I started advertising in other parts of Arkansas. Okay. And then I had my Texas license, so I was picking up some clients there. So those clients I worked with online, and then I had my in-person clients. I let them know in February of this year. Okay. That as of May, my body's no longer going to be in this office. We can still work together, but it's just going to be a little bit different.
And how was that received?
They were all a little sad. I have this really nice, comfy gray couch that people seem to be super attached to.
You couldn't keep the couch and just have them go.
That was kind of the joke. I was like, I can probably arrange for you to come in and sit on this couch if you want for our session.
That's funny.
So, there was a couple of them that wanted in person, and that's going to happen, and that's fine. What they need is
went on a different route.
Yeah, absolutely. Most of them stuck with me. So I was like, you just get to sit on your own couch now instead of mine.
Well, no traffic,
So they didn't like it at first, but now they love it.
They've adapted.
They don't have to drive anywhere.
Just log on. There you are.
A lot of them ask, like, are you coming back at all? Well, I've got more stuff to come pick up eventually, so.
So it's the transitions worked better than expected, or
better than expected. I had some internet hiccups the first couple of months living here, but got that worked out. And my internet works better than my clients sometimes.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and I've got backup, like I can use I got unlimited phone data. Okay. Which also works great if needed. So.
Yeah, we're on the boat right now. Don't have internet here, so we've been streaming using the phone tethered, and it's worked out great. We're watching football. Yeah. And it's good. So, did you have any challenges along the way that came up that were unexpected, or?
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about before I got here or after I got here?
Well, you can talk about both, actually. We want to hear what the challenges are, for sure.
I'm a type A personality, so...
Woman after my own heart, good.
I've got to know what I'm doing, and I've got to have a plan. So I got to where, because I was self-employed, I could schedule myself to start work at noon or 1 or whatever. I'd be up till 4 a.m. researching, obsessing, like, what am I going to do about my phone? What am I going to do about the bank? What am I, just all these things. I've got to sell the house. I've got to sell the car. What about the sectional that I paid $3,000 for?
Right.
Which clothes do I keep? And there's just, when you've accumulated so much stuff over the years, it's emotionally draining to think about where's all of this going to go, because you can't put it on the plane.
Right. So you flew down. You didn't drive.
Flew down.
You didn't bring a trailer load
Nope.
or anything with you. Some people do that, but so you just basically were coming with suitcases.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that. So do you still have things in storage?
Oh, yeah. My office is with the little gray couch is still open in case anyone needs it.
Okay.
But all of the other stuff is in there.
Okay. So
everything I own
still have
is in that office.
And how does that feel? Does it feel like, oh, it's still there if I need to go back? Or does it seem like, oh, I really need to figure out what to do with this? Or how's that?
Well, I have an assistant back in the States that takes care of a lot of things for me, and she's my power of attorney also for anything that I need. So sometimes we video from inside there, and it feels weird to see all my stuff. It's like I've forgotten about it.
Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Except for my Instant Pot. I'm still trying to get it down here. But it's so big.
They are kind of big,
and there's a lot of other
things. They
do
sell them down here, though.
Yeah.
You don't want to transport it.
So, it's just a matter of gradually getting things down here. I have a lot of beach decor that either I'm going to bring or sell, or I don't know, but I've got the necessities.
So you sold your home?
Sold the home.
Sold your car?
Sold the car.
Okay.
Sold everything.
A lot of the furniture.
All the furniture.
The furniture's gone.
Extra clothes.
Extra stuff. Yeah.
Knives, blenders.
Funny. So, so that was one of your challenges is just trying to figure out everything from a logistical standpoint of everything that you needed to take care of before you came. And then what about after you got here?
Well, and before you come, what I've realized is I think everyone goes through like a 30-day crisis at that point, 30 days before they come. I know I had a big meltdown, and I've seen other people. It's just there's something...
Like second thoughts, maybe? Or
just like, what am I doing? Just fear.
So fear of questioning whether you're making the right decision?
This is real.
Okay.
This is really happening. And everyone around you says, like, I didn't think you were really going to do this.
Just a little peer pressure.
Yeah.
And how did you get through that?
Well, I started trying to talk to people that have done it, but being a therapist, expecting a certain type of response from people, I wasn't getting it from people who had done it. So I had to start reaching out to my therapist friends to...
good call, though.
Yeah.
That's smart. Smart.
So got through it. It didn't last, but, a day or two.
Okay.
But, yeah, it wasn't... It
wasn't like the whole month before you left.
No. But it's just like...
Moments.
Yeah. And so, getting down here wasn't too bad because I've done it many times before. It was just a few extra suitcases.
Right. Well, and no return ticket.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was the cheapest flight I've ever paid for.
How about challenges once you got down here?
Figuring out where to go for things. How do things work? It's just so different here. I made a comment about how expensive batteries were, and someone's like, oh, well, if you just have to buy them from this place, and learning you get this from this place and that from that place, and
a little bit different than one-stop shopping in the United States.
It's not Walmart.
Right.
Yeah. Just trying to figure out who you can trust, who you can't. Language barriers, of course. I tried to learn Spanish. That's part of what I was doing at 3 a.m. before I moved, but it's just, an ongoing process. So it's the little things that you think about. You don't think about until it happens of, well, I need this, but I don't even really know how to ask for it.
How about the local community? Have you been able to establish a network of folks here on the island?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody here is super friendly.
Okay.
Just a matter of, again, figuring out who you have things in common with and who you can trust, and yeah.
So, and do you have any pets? Did you bring any with you, or adopt any since you've been here? I know that happens a lot.
That
Actually, people come down without pets, and then pretty soon they have some.
There was a Great Dane puppy that I had seen before coming that I really, really wanted to get. But again, me wanting to be 100% sure on everything, I didn't know if I was going to stay here. And if it's a Great Dane, once you get it to the island and it gets big, there's no way to really get it back off the island.
What then, right?
So, yeah, it's like I'm just still taking time to really figure things out and not, because to me, animals are like children.
Yes.
So if I'm going to adopt an animal
Take
child,
it seriously.
It's very serious.
Yeah. Well, they do fostering here too, so that's a thought.
That is true. Just have to okay that with the landlord.
Right. Well, and they're pretty accepting of pets in this culture. That's one thing that we've noticed. In fact, our orange males had surgery last month, and our vet was actually here yesterday. He's making multiple house calls here and into the house. And actually there were some Americans up at Oscar's when he got here. Tom was waiting for him, and they said, "Oh my gosh, a vet makes house calls. Like, how much does that cost?" It's like, 250 pesos. That's about $12.50. They're like, "No way." Mm-hmm. So, but that's what they do. I mean, he's actually said, "Oh, he's like part of my cat family." He has 16 cats.
Wow.
That live at his house, plus the ones that are at the vet. So it's pretty interesting here, how much pets are valued in this culture. It's kind of cool. They are definitely like family. So,
and I love how smart they are. I watch the dogs around the house, and I swear they look at traffic. They look before they cross the street, like we were taught as children.
I know, it is funny.
We'll be back in a moment.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa, located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit CastilitoCaribe.com, www.CastilitoCaribe.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Integrity Vacation Property Management. Trust, truth, results. From buyer's representative services to rental market analysis, staging, marketing, and full-service property management, achieving your goals is our top priority. Visit our website at www.integrityvpm.com and get our free guide, Self-Manage or Hire, a property owner's checklist of issues to consider. Contact us for a free consultation to see if we can help you maximize the return on your investments. Integrity VPM, raising the bar in vacation property management. Welcome back to the Overseas Life Redesign podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and we invite you to subscribe if you like what you hear.
You talked a little bit about anxiety. Was there any fear in this whole transition?
Oh yeah. Definitely not have ever even really,
especially because you haven't even moved within the United States, much less out of the country.
No, never more than 20 minutes away. So there was a lot of fear of, I think the biggest is, what if I fail?
Oh, okay. And how did you deal with that?
I was like, what's the worst that can happen?
Okay.
If it doesn't work,
you go back to where you were before.
Yeah.
Yeah. No harm, no foul.
Right.
You still have your couch.
I still have my great couch.
Well, I mean, we're laughing about that, but I can imagine that does give you some level of comfort to say that, I can go back to that old life if this one doesn't.
I don't think I would go back to hometown anyway.
Right.
If anything, I've looked at, maybe other countries.
Okay.
And that was early on. I feel like there's like a 3-month crisis here for people too.
Okay.
Just the 3-month mark, they get restless. They've got to kind of find their place. They start doubting things. They weren't really prepared in the beginning.
Do you think that's just here, or did you find that in the community of people that had moved, like you were talking about the therapist group that had was working remotely? Does that?
A lot of those that are working remotely are just working from their
They're
homes.
just in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay, so
some of them
wasn't necessarily.
Yeah,
overseas.
I think anywhere, just that adjustment and without preparation. Like, it was hard. There was times that I looked like maybe this isn't it, but I realized like that's just part of going through the transition, the acclimating.
Okay. Do you have any recommendations for other people that might be considering a move like this?
Do your research.
Okay.
I had heard the saying over and over, vacationing is different than living here.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of made sense, but it once you've actually done it, there's no way to really describe that living here is very, very different than vacationing here.
Did you think you heard Diane's podcast? I think she was episode 6. She talked about a beta test where she had I think it was a 6-week window, and she basically pretended like she was living here. Did you think about doing anything like that, or you just decided to?
I thought about it, but it was already in the middle of my time frame of getting down here. I think it is good for people.
Yeah, I thought that was a really innovative way to sort of test the waters and see if that was something.
But I think even at 6 weeks, a lot of people say 6 months because I feel like you do need to get past that 3-month, whatever meltdown it is that I've seen people go through. And I even kind of prepared for it. I saw people that had just moved here before me, kind of acting different.
Huh. I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah.
So you think that's a pretty important milestone, getting past that 3-month mark. Interesting.
Because you have your honeymoon period when you get here, and then things
sort of settle
in, and challenges start happening, and I've talked to other people that's lived here longer, and they say like after the first year, you're clear.
Okay.
Just that first year is so hard. I don't feel it so much at 6 months. Occasionally something's frustrating, but overall it's just like, okay, I've got this mastered.
So do you have plans to travel either back to the United States or to other parts of Mexico or beyond? Or are you going to kind of just hunker down here for a while? Or have you given it some thought?
Eventually. I'm really happy here. I've spent 8 hours out of the last 6 months not on this island, and I was kind of forced to go to Cancun. I didn't want to.
Okay.
So I'm pretty happy.
So you're pretty happy here?
Yeah. Yeah, I've just been focusing on work and...
What do you do for fun?
Go to the beach.
Well, why did I not know that, right?
Right. Yeah, the vendors know me. Because I sit in the same spot every day that I do go, and I try to squeeze in. I have like 2 full beach days a week, and
good for you.
Try to squeeze in some other time.
Where's your favorite spot?
I can't tell you because then somebody might take my tree.
Oh, there's lots.
That's my tree.
Which part of the island? You don't have to tell me exactly where.
Playa Norte.
Oh, Playa Norte.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it's big. It's a big area. So.
Yeah. And I love cooking. I do a lot of that. That was a challenge. Figuring out ingredients at the store. Substitutions, what the Spanish names are for things.
Measurements.
Yeah.
Baking temperatures.
My brownies are coming out okay, but I'm not really still sure about that whole temperature thing on the oven. It's the little things that you would never think about that come up.
Is there anything you particularly miss
The little bit that I do miss, people have brought to me.
Okay.
Jelly beans, ranch Doritos.
You can't find jelly beans in Mexico?
Specific kind. I've got like a flavor list.
That's funny. Yeah. And that's, people come down here so frequently. It's so nice, actually. We're waiting for our mail. Gal just came back with our mail from our snail mail that what little snail mail we have. I don't think I've picked it up in more than 3 months because there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
But, there's a few things. Any aha moments, epiphanies that have come up since you've made this move?
I've had a lot. One day I was sitting under my undisclosed chair or tree that we're not going to talk about. And I was just looking around, and at my work, I was always trying to get people to think outside the box. Okay. A lot of my clients came with struggles with social norms, whatever it might be, family relationships, whatever. Like, it's okay to not be like everyone else. So I'm really big on thinking outside the box. So I was sitting there and I was like, I am living outside the box. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Took your own advice.
Just again, people think that we're crazy for moving to Mexico. It's so dangerous down here. And you see all those YouTube videos where that's the caption, and then people are talking about how great the food is and how friendly everyone is. And it's paradise. And a lot of people want this. They just don't know. They don't feel like they deserve it or that they are capable of being able to do it.
That's good. I like that. I think that's probably pretty true. Or they just don't even have the ability to imagine how they could pull something like that off, right?
Yeah, I spent a decade traveling and just being envious of everybody that I saw that worked at restaurants or stores, or they're so lucky. Mm-hmm. So I definitely do not take it for granted. Ever. Every single day there's gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, that's a pretty cool one. So you said you have more other epiphanies that you've had?
Well, that was
a big one.
Yeah, that was the big one. And then from there, just kind of expanding out professionally of what I want to do. My counseling business is thriving and I love it, but it's not good to just do that 40 hours a week, and it's a lot.
So really the opening up of other possibilities for you?
Yes, this is a beautiful place, and so I'm in the works of building a course for people who want to live abroad. I've started a coaching business for people that want to live abroad, that were exactly where I was I want to do this, but is it even feasible?
And I don't want to wait 35 years.
I don't want to wait 35 years to do it. Yeah. And then, that 90 days before you do it of what do I do with all this stuff?
Right. That comes up a lot as I interview people, is the stuff.
You don't think about it until you're standing in the middle of it.
Right.
This is all your stuff that you've accumulated for possibly decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not really the stuff, right? It's the meaning.
The sentimental part
of the stuff. Well, not only that, I think how much the stuff defines you as well, right? There's definitely the sentimental stuff. There's the mementos, all of that. But then there's but I drive a Lexus, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. Or I, whatever it is, the identification that you have with the things.
My Jeep Renegade was very sexy. She really was. I got compliments every day as I drove her around. And I joke all the time, I traded in that Jeep Renegade for a golf cart. And even when I'm out and driving and it's pouring rain and I'm soaked, I'm still happy. I'd still rather have that.
The golf cart makes you happier than the Jeep Renegade that you loved.
It's because of the location.
Right. And you don't have to go far in the golf cart. It's a small island, right? Yeah. Yeah, the stuff. Interesting.
It's a big part of our identity. Mm-hmm. And there's just something about American culture saying we need to have all this stuff.
Yeah.
We might use it someday.
Right.
I love being a minimalist now.
So that was an easy transition for you.
It was for me, absolutely. So, and I still feel like I probably brought too many clothes and could downsize some of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you there. I've donated a couple of... I know some good places that take donations, too. So if you need me to share that, guilty as charged, yeah. Even when we've gone back to Florida and cleaning out the storage unit, there were the clothes that you set aside and you're like, why did I keep this stuff, right?
And one thing that I have some friends that just moved down to Mexico, too, and they're asking, what to pack. And I'm like, bring some smaller clothes if you're one of those people like me that kept them, because you might fit into them one of these days, because you probably will when you move here.
Right. Weight loss.
Yes. Didn't even try, didn't even realize it, and had just checked the weight when I first got here. And then I think 3 months in, I was like, oh my gosh.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Right. No, and that does happen a lot. I see that time and time again.
Yeah.
People are just more active. They're eating healthier. And the heat, too.
Yeah.
You just aren't as hungry in the heat, It's warm. You don't want to eat too much or you go to sleep,
Yeah. I call it the all-you-can-eat taco sweat your butt off diet.
That's good. I like it. Might have to publish that one.
There you go.
Well, good stuff. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you care to share? Or?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time,
All right.
Keesha. And I'm really excited to have an opportunity to meet you in person. I know we've been messaging a little bit on Facebook, and it always blows me away how small this island is and how many people I'm friends with on social media that I haven't actually met in person.
Yes.
So life just gets busy, and Chajari is probably the best place to run into folks.
Mm-hmm. It's our Walmart.
Well, awesome. Again, thank you so much for your time and sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dawn.
This episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast was brought to you by our sponsors. Thanks for tuning in. Did you love this episode of the Overseas Life Redesign podcast? Then please subscribe to our show and leave us a nice review. It's very much appreciated. We invite you to visit www.overseasliferedesign.com and take the Are You Ready for an Overseas Life Relocation Readiness quiz. We'd also love for you to become part of our OLR community on Facebook. Thank you for listening.